Welcome to lecture number 28 for signals and systems. In today's class, we will be discussing about Laplace transform. In previous class, we talked about sampling, and we saw that if sampling frequency is greater than or twice of maximum frequency of amplitudes of any signal, then if we sample it at twice of maximum frequency, then we can recover original signal. Otherwise, an effect arises that is called aliasing, and aliasing is a distortion. Uh, when aliasing occurs, we cannot recover the original signal, right? Now, the next topic for our subject is Laplace transform. We have discussed about Fourier series. We saw if signals are periodic, then they can be represented in their sine and cosine form, right? Or the set of eigenfunctions. And afterwards, we talked about that if the system, what if the signal is not periodic, then we derived another kind of transform that is called Fourier transform, and Fourier transform was capable to uh, convert the time domain signal into frequency domain, either it is periodic or aperiodic, right? Now, the next topic in connection to continuous time system is Laplace transform. If you remember, in our Fourier transform, in our previous classes, we talked about eigenvalue and eigenfunction. We said that if there is a input signal, if there is an input signal and if you pass it to an LTI system, it result what is produced is the same that input signal times some arbitrary coefficient, right? Then we can say that if this signal is applied to a system and the system produce scaled version of this signal, then this signal is called eigen function or eigen signal, right? And the multiplied, whatever multiplied coefficient is produced to this signal is called eigenvalue, right? If you remember, and the value of eigenvalue is this one, right? We derived this expression in previous classes. So if this s is equal to j omega, then that is Fourier transform, right? If you remember. So now what is Laplace transform? Laplace transform is x of s by definition is equal to integration from minus infinity to infinity x of t e to the power minus st dt. And what does this s is? This s is now a complex number. In in Fourier transform, this s was only omega, right? J omega. And if you replace this s with j omega, then what you get? X of j omega, integration from minus infinity to infinity x of t e to the power minus j omega t dt, and that is the expression for Fourier transform. So now we got we can say this sigma shall produce us some degree of freedom, right? Uh, okay, so uh, now what does this sigma contribute in Fourier transform? We will see in a minute that why we have introduced this sigma and what is its benefit, right? Moving further, uh, to represent a signal from time domain to Laplace domain, we, for example, if a signal is applied to, if the Laplace transform of the signal is computed, then we represent it with x of s symbol, right? And sometimes we also write Laplace of x of t, right? So these are the representation. We haven't solved Laplace we haven't converted any signal from time domain to Laplace domain. Still we are just discussing the how to represent it, right? For example, if it's x of t, and if you transform, if you find the Laplace transform of this x of t, then what you get at output is x of s, for example, right? If it is y of t, then you get, if you find the Laplace transform of y of t, what you get is y of s, and so on, right? So this is the representation. Sometime we also write just Laplace transform of y of t, right? So these symbols may be used interchangeably, so you must be you must be acquainted with these symbols as well. Okay, so coming back to Laplace transform. Now earlier we said that x of s is, by definition, is from minus infinity to infinity x of t to the power minus st dt, right? And what if we put this s is equal to sigma plus j omega? For example, first, if we want to put s is equal to purely imaginary, we want we said earlier that this s is equal to sigma plus j omega, right? And what if we put this sigma equal to 0? Then what we end up is the expression for our Fourier transform, right? So means if this real component in S, if you input it 0, then what you end up is the expression for Fourier transform. So if in other words we can say if sigma is equal to 0, then Laplace transform is equal to Fourier transform, right? But what if we don't put sigma equal to 0? Then what we get? For example, we put s is equal to sigma plus j omega. Now sigma is not 0, right? Now you can see that if you put this s is equal to sigma plus j omega, then what you end up is x e to the power minus, this signal is very important, and e to the power minus j omega t dt, right? Now you can see this is right side of the equation is Fourier transform, right? And this input signal is now multiplied with this exponential signal, right? Now what does this exponential signal do? If our, for example, if our signal is not bounded, now this expression helps us to make it bounded, right? For example, if our signal goes in this direction, for example, it is exponentially increasing, you cannot find Fourier transform for it. But for example, if this signal is multiplied to input, then what we end up is, for example, this signal is exponentially decaying, right? Then what you get is, now when this signal is multiplied with this signal, then what we get, a normalized one signal, a normalized one signal that is bounded. So in other words, we can say Fourier transform was unable to compute the frequency spectrum of unstable systems, right? But Laplace transform help us to compute the frequency spectrum of those signal which are unbounded as well, right? Fourier transform Laplace transform tells us that at what particular values this signal is, up to what particular values the provided signal is bounded one, right? This is another way of representation. Mathematically, if you say what is the advantage of Laplace transform, we can say that the Laplace transform convert nth order differential equation into n order difference equations, right? So nth order differential equations are non-linear, but if you convert it into n difference equations, those all equations are linear, then solving those linear equation is relatively easy to solve nth order differential equation, right? Okay, so now for example, if earlier we solved this x of t is equal to e to the power minus at, we computed its Fourier transform x of j omega, that was equal to 1 upon a plus j omega, right? Now let us see what if we compute its Laplace transform. Then again this we use now formula for Laplace transform, x of s is equal to integral from minus infinity to infinity x of t to the power minus st dt. Now we know this input is equal to e to the power minus at u of t, right? Now we know what does u of t do, right? U of t exists from 0 to infinity and its amplitude is 1. So what we end up is this integral must be reduced from 0 to infinity, right? So u of t is gone now, and if base are same, these power of these bases must be added. So I have added those, and and took a plus t as common, minus and t as common, so what is end up is a plus s, right? Now if you wish to compute the integral, we have solved it now maybe 50 times. We know that we require its derivative in the coefficient, so we multiply this derivative and divided it. So the divided term is taken as common, and if you solve, it is the same function e to the power minus a plus st dt. And if you put limits, now this is very important, right? You can see if we apply upper limit a plus s, right? A plus s. Now this term is very important, right? And we know this s is equal to sigma plus j omega, right? Now if you multiply and minus is here, if you multiply minus infinity, for example, this minus infinity into minus shall produce minus infinity, right? Now this s plus a, what if this s plus a, if real part of this s, what if it is less than, for example, if s s is value of s is greater than 2, right? For example, value of s is, for example, a is 2 and our s is 3, then what we end up is 3 plus 2 is 5, right? And 5 multiplied by minus infinity is again minus infinity, so e to the power minus infinity is 0, right? So this is a bounded value, 0 is bounded value, right? But what if this s was 1? For example, this s was for example, this s is minus 3, then what we get? Minus 3 plus 2 is minus 1, and minus 1 into minus infinity is plus infinity, so e to the power infinity is again infinity. So we want to bound this value, right? And we say that s plus a, right, s plus a must be always greater than 0, right? If s plus a is not greater than 0, then what we end up is this minus infinity, right? If the value of the sum of the value of s plus a is not greater than 0, then there we shall produce a negative value from here, and then negative into negative is positive and signal goes unbounded. So we have to make this sure that s plus a must be greater than 0, and now we know that if s plus a is greater than 0, then our integral is this. If s plus a is not greater than 0, then what we end up is a negative value, and when negative value is multiplied with minus infinity, we produce positive infinity, and e to the power infinity is infinity, so our signal goes unbounded. So we have to make sure that s plus a must be greater than 0. So we can say the real part of s plus a must be greater than 0, and we a is a constant value, s may be subjected to change, so we can say that real part of s must be always greater than a. So this is the region of convergence for the signal, right? This is our imaginary value of s, and this is our real value of s. We say, for example, whatever the value of a is, for example, minus a is here, so it produces a asymptotic response that the region of convergence for s is when s is greater than minus a, right? If any you select any value of s less than this minus a, then signal produce unbounded value, right? So now we can see our Fourier transform did not tell us that what are the values where the signal is bounded, but Laplace transform ensure us that or tells us that from where our signal started to be converging, and before that the signal was diverging, right? So this is a beautiful condition for Laplace transform. Let's repeat it again. For example, if we wish to compute the Laplace transform of this signal, then what we say is that by definition x of s is x of t to the power minus st dt integral from minus infinity to infinity. Then we put the value of x of t which is available here, and now u of t exists from 0 to infinity, so this limit is changed from 0 to infinity, and we took common because these bases are same, so e to the power minus a plus st dt, right? And if you solve this, you get 1 upon a plus s, given that s plus a must be greater than 0, otherwise our signal go unbounded. So this is a region of convergence, and this region of convergence is of utmost importance in Laplace transform. If you write only the magnitude response, you may be mistaking, right? We will see in a minute that the magnitude response of the system may be same, but the region of convergence is very important. That tells us in which direction our signal is bounded, right? So let us see. Now summing it up, that the Laplace transform of our signal x of t is 1 upon s plus a. Now remember this, we will be using this exponential signal again and again. So the Laplace transform of e to the power minus at u of t is 1 upon s plus a, given that or we can say the real part of s must be greater than minus a, right? Okay. Let us see, what if we have signal x of t e to the power minus at u of minus t, right? So now we have another signal minus e to the power minus at u of minus t. Now we know that this u of minus t exists from, because it is inverted version of uh, step signal, then it exists from minus infinity to 0, right? So putting it into the equation, now this exists from minus infinity to 0, so you can see the limits are now changed to minus infinity to 0. This minus is taken as common, and now again base are same, power to be added, right? What we produce is this term, and you can see again what we ended up is 1 upon a plus s. But now if you multiply this minus, if you apply this upper limit, then what you write here, minus infinity minus into this minus is plus. Now this term has to be negative, right? If this term is positive, then we produce positive infinity, so this term has to be negative. So what we say, a plus s must be less than 0 now, because we need minus sign from here in order to make this e bounded, right? So we say real part of s plus a must be less than 0, and if you take a to the other side, then we say the real part of s must be less than minus a. Now our real part of s must be less than minus a. Now this is the region of convergence. This is necessary condition to make signal bounded, right? So the region of convergence for this signal is that it's the value of s must be the real part of, this is real and this is imaginary value of s, right? This is a complex number, s is a complex number, and its value is changing, so its value must be less than minus a, right? In this direction, this is asymptotic behavior, right? Y-axis from plus infinity to minus infinity, and on x-axis it must be less than a, and always remember this a is excluded, right? This a is excluded from the equation. Sorry for the interruptions. So now you can see the magnitude response of previous signal and this signal is same, only they are different in region of convergence. So region of convergence has an important role, right? We cannot ignore this. Okay, coming back. Now let us see. Now this is the region of convergence for such first signal when e to the power minus at u of t, right? The Laplace transform of first signal. The region of convergence from is of when s is greater than minus a, right? In second signal minus e to the power minus at u of minus t, its region of convergence is in this direction, right? So we have to make sure to understand this concept, because this makes any signal bounded or unbounded, right? On what values our signal is bounded. Okay, what if for example this is another example, that x of t is equal to 3 e to the power minus 8 u of t minus 2 e to the power minus t u of t. Now we know that this signals looks like e to the power minus at u of t, and e to the power minus at u of t is 1 upon s plus a. So the value of a is minus 2 here, right? Then we get e to the power minus at u of t equal to 1 upon s plus a, and we know its region of convergence was greater than minus a, right? So our a is 2 here, so region of convergence of first signal is greater than minus 2. And what about region of convergence for second signal? It must be greater than minus 1, because e to the power minus t is, now a is 1 here, so we just wrote a is 1 here, right? Okay, so and now sum them up. This signal is multiplied with 3, so I have multiplied 3 with this signal, right? You can see here. And this signal is multiplied with minus 2, so minus 2 is multiplied here, and if you solve it, you get this equation. Okay, what about region of convergence of two individual signals, right? This is a linearity property of LTI system. The region of convergence is intersection of these 2 points, because if one signal is converging and other is diverging, then overall resultant is diverging, right? So we wish to compute the intersection point of their convergence, and that is, we can see that if a signal is greater than minus 2, if its region of convergence is greater than minus 2, then it's in this direction, right? And other signal is converging after minus 1, right? After minus 1, so minus 1 is somewhere here, right? So the overall intersection point is, the region of convergence must be greater than minus 1. So we can see the overall region of convergence of this signal is greater than minus 1. Okay. There are certain properties for region of convergence of Laplace transform. Sorry if I have uttered Fourier transform in place of Laplace transform. You need to understand now, right? We are talking in context of Laplace transform only. So the first property of region of convergence is the ROC of x of s consists of strips parallel to j omega axis in the s plane. You can see here that this is our real part and this is our imaginary part. So the region of convergence is vertical strips, right? Parallel to y axis. The region of convergence is like strips on the y axis, right? The second property is, for rational Laplace transform, the ROC does not contain any pole. Now remember, we have always said that this must be greater than any value, right? For example, in first case we had region of convergence greater than minus a. That means, for example, 1 upon s plus a, right? S plus a. And if you solve for s plus a, then you get s is equal to minus a. The pole is at s is equal to minus a. When you put s equal to minus a, this signal goes unbounded, right? So the second point says that ROC does not contain any poles, and we can see really that if this is a pole, right? Pole means the behavior of the system, where the behavior of the system goes infinity, and we can see that when you put s is equal to minus a, this signal goes to infinity, right? So these poles must be always excluded from the region of convergence, and we can see from here that wherever we have solved it, we always said that this pole is excluded, less than, not equal to. If it would have been equal to, then pole would have been included, but it is not included in this case. So second property says the poles should always be excluded from region of convergence. If you have solved for if you have computed the Laplace transform of any signal, and what you end up is you have included poles in the region of convergence, then you are mistaking, right? The third point is x of t is of finite duration, means if we have x of t that has some finite limit, for example from minus t to plus t, right, in time domain, and is absolutely integrable. We can see this signal is absolutely integrable. Then ROC is entire S plane. So means there is we cannot say the signal is signal is stable in if you go in right direction or left direction. If a signal is bounded and if it is absolutely integrable, then the region of convergence is whole S plane, right? Whole S plane is its region of convergence, right? So let us see an example for that. For example, now if we have signal e to the power minus at and now this t is between 0 and t, right? For example, we have signal like this from 0 to some value t. This signal is uh, signal has this value and 0 otherwise. So we can see this is absolutely integrable. So region of convergence of this signal must be entire plane. So let us see if we solve it. So we got the Laplace equation x of s is equal to from minus infinity to infinity x of t to the power minus st dt. Because our signal now exists from 0 to t, so I will directly written limits from 0 to capital T e to the power minus st. This is formula for Laplace transform. Now base are same, add the powers and put the limits. What you get is 1 upon s plus a e to the power minus a. Now our upper limit is this t. So you can see this t minus e to the power 0 is 1. So we end up in this equation. Now if I multiply this minus within the bracket, then I get 1 upon s plus a, 1 minus e to the power minus a plus st. Now you can say that we earlier said that if the signal is bounded, then there is no limit, right? There must be no pole in the region of convergence. And in third property we said entire plane must be the region of convergence. There is no direction in which the system if the signal is bounded, then its ROC is entire plane, but we can see 1 upon s plus a, and if you put s is equal to minus a, then what you get from here? 1 upon 0, and that is infinity, right? We can say that the either second condition, second property is incorrect or third property is incorrect. But what if we say using L'Hospital rule? If you know how to solve this L'Hospital rule, what we say is take the derivative of numerator and take the derivative of denominator, put the value, and if you again get infinity, again take the derivative of that until you get some value. So if you derivate this with respect to s domain, then what you get, this constant must be 0 and the derivative of this must be for example, if you further solve it, this must be e to the power minus at and e to the power minus st. So e to the power minus a is our constant, right? Coefficient multiplied to e to the power minus st, and the derivative of e to the power minus st is t, right? So and what is the derivative of this term? 1 upon s plus a. This is constant, this must be 0, and the derivative of this is 1. So upon 1, and e to the power minus at is a coefficient for e to the power minus st, so it is available here, and e to the power minus st same function times its derivative, that is t, right? So we ended up in this. Now if you now put limit s is equal to minus a, then what you get is this must be then e to the power minus at again. So e to the plus at, right? Because this is minus, when you put t equal to s equal to minus t minus a, sorry, then what you get is minus into minus plus. So e to the power minus at, e to the power plus at, then this term shall cancel out. Then what we left is x of minus a is equal to t. So this is not a pole actually, what I want to say is, right? So the region of convergence is still entire S plane. There are no strips on y-axis now. So if our x of t is of finite duration and absolutely integrable, the ROC is entire S plane, right? And that's it for today's lecture. If you have any question, you can ask.